Yeah.
And obviously him referring to Alaman. And look what they've banned. Right off the rip.
Yeah.
Ying!
Unfortunately, I don't know what the translation means, but I'm sure it's
Relaxer. I'm guessing relax.
apparently said I'm gonna kill you, our producer says in our ear.
Oh.
If that's the correct translation or not, don't hate me.
Wait, no, don't. Why would you want to kill me?
Well, I understand.
I'm not going to go there because you might actually start listing reasons. I think we've been there before.
On a many long broadcast day.
Of course.
Valk and Echo. Wrap it up. Valk makes sense as a removal. You're looking at a map that can have... Yeah, it's a dangerous one for a clever Valk player. It just gives you a little bit more safety. For a team that likes to play dangerous as well, we saw Team 1... They didn't pay the same attention to the outside game that I think FURIA did. They were a lot more, I guess, comfortable to sort of, this is what's in front of us, this is what we're going to take. Whereas FURIA were very cautious about the outside, and removing Valk plays better, I think, into Team 1's game.
We're actually seeing 3 changes since the last time they played each other in Kafe. That was only like a month ago. The only remaining is actually Thatcher, who is the only one who was also banned the last time. Last time we seen Goyo be banned, we seen Flores and Mira. A little bit different, obviously, this time around. I think Ying, the real thought process is to counterban specifically Alamau in that element. I think you've added to, of course, Valkyrie. We've seen FURIA play Valkyrie. I think that's just Team 1 having a little bit of comfort, feeling that they don't want to have to sit and, 360, look around a room for a Valkyrie camera. And also the Echo ban is an interesting one. I think that might be maybe something that FURIA have picked up on that they feel like could be a good ban against Team 1.
Kafe, I have a lot of curiosities about from the Latin American region, because what I saw from SI, from this region especially, was so fun. It was just exciting, especially teams like FaZe and the takes that they would put together. It was very creative. I thought that the region as a whole had a really good Kafe game, and although they don't play it as much, it's still just, it was one that it still sort of stands out to me as a really good map for the region.
So apparently that the translation that you were told,
yeah,
Luke, it's not I will kill you. It is I don't bite. So
okay.
I don't know why I've said this. I just
no. I'm glad
like I said,
for the correction. That's
if
why
somebody
I
tells
said,
me,
I cannot
you know?
speak any languages outside of my own, even then only barely.
Well,
that's why I just wanted to highlight.
Where's your French at?
My French, not good. No, not bon. Not bon.
I was about to say you can't even say not good in French.
Non-bon. Okay, here we have the start of the stress and the pressure around the Christmas corner. The lock on the back of the white corridor to see if they can find anyone around the back of Lumber. But as they head over the top, it's Alamau that wants to try and set up on the white window to see if he can catch anybody that plays off. This isn't massively where FURIA need to lose their lives here, and they're aware of the game that Team 1 can do. They really have to build a mantle of solidity here.
Yeah, it's either FURIA come in and they start winning these opening engagements and really putting an end to Team 1 and their structured, aggressive executes that they have, or they just try and play that kind of safe passive way, which, as we've seen, won them around inside of Oregon. So yeah, it's up to FURIA what playstyle want to go for. It looks to be that more passive playstyle, that they've gave up. I would say very early control. I think, a minute 20 and Team 1 already had complete control of top floor is fairly early. Typically we see quite a bit of gunfight happening upstairs, and, it wastes a bit of time. Usually around the 40-second mark is whenever we see destructibility happen, but no, this time around it will be just a little bit quicker.
Here, as we start to hear the cacophony of C4s pop on the floor above, KDS is trying to drive their way down the red stairs. There is one body not too far away, just playing in quite a dangerous spot on the side of the breach. In fact, they go a little bit deeper. They're able to slip their way past, but they're not happy with that game just yet. A great position here, and they try to get the punishment, find it, slip away, and that is perfectly played. Pop back up with the shotgun to see if they can get a bit of revenge, but it's Neskin that's suffering on the opposite side.
That's a great rotate, just individual positioning really winning out that gunfight for Furia. So a good start for Miracle, and he's still an issue. He's still lurking in towards that red stairs area, and Rare land a fancy. Yeah, Rare another one. Oh, lock it down. A flurry of kills come out, and a flawless round to kick things off for Furia. This is a much better step in the right direction.
It's what they needed. You sort of had to take as much of that round as possible. A flawless is obviously the perfect start, but the confidence is what they needed. They needed to make sure that they could try and find themselves. As I said, it's almost that full mental reset of that first map, that was a warm-up. That's not on our scoreboards. That's not on our focus. We have to not only take our momentum, we have to shut theirs down. And hitting that locked door, pushing the hyper-aggressive positions there on the bottom of the red stairs and making sure that they weren't quite sure, which was, as I sort of highlighted at the beginning, that was the game that Team 1 weren't massively playing. They would sort of get their intel and go with it, but the changes of intel, that's where Furia might be able to draw some real punishment.
So moving now in towards that top floor. Bomb site we see quite a bit. I know that Ollie and Tim yesterday, they were saying that, you know, it's a bomb site that's actually not too favored inside of LATAM. Which is strange, because everywhere else, you know, we always see the top floor.
I think that's always the thing about the top as well, is you can have a little bit of pace and creativity about it. I remember seeing a lot of smoke attempts and the coverage that can come from that. Capitao obviously has a bit of a presence here, especially when Wamai is potentially off the board to drive some of that in, but yeah, here it's fallen out of favor a little bit across the board. I think the pick rate has generally gone down on it as well. It's sort of in a strange place, Kafe, right now. It's gonna become something, but they're still trying to find out what in the new meta.
I mean, I'll be honest, I feel as if the top floor in this, it's very one-dimensional. There's not much you can do apart from red stairs, piano, plant. Like, that is... I've just described every single round of top floor Kafe.
Yeah.
Apart from the odd, you know, a Mario in through New Belt. That's about it. You know?
And I think that repetition is what's the struggle to break right now, because the meta is in a good place. It's a very aggressive meta. It's a lot of changes. Kafe sort of defined itself in the old meta, and it, in a way, was weirdly reinforced by it, because when we had all the ADSs, when we had all of the Wamai discs, the pixel corner was almost synonymous with that. Rare, nothing. No dice. No birthday gift.
Yeah. I think Kafe is also a map that it suits certain teams. You know, there are certain teams that go to Kafe, and we know they're just so dominant on it. You know, it's one of their fortresses. Whenever I think of Kafe, I would say, for me personally, one of the best teams in the world in Kafe is TSM. Like, hands down. I love every time I see TSM play Kafe. I think, well, the other team's lost. You know, it's one of those maps. You know, we look across Europe, for example. I always think Russian teams do very well on a map like Kafe.
Oh, entirely. I think that what it plays well into a Russian team as well is how, not in a negative way, but how formulaic it can be and how cooked it can be. The consistency of approach is something that the Russian machine knows better than most.
At the moment, both teams really haven't shown us all too much. Team 1, I would say, a much more slower pace than what we've seen in Oregon. You know, we're at a minute. Still haven't found that first pit. However, Furia have. Finally, they will get that first kill on the board for them. Neskin opens things up on that Iana. But with 40 seconds to go, little control on piano. Not really sure what they're going to go for. They don't have a lot of time. Are they going to look maybe perhaps for a skylight? That was close, and Neskin still wins that. Oh, and if he ran in, Fluke, easiest kill of the game.
Easiest kill of the day, potentially, as the spray starts to come through. The grenade hits the backside of Lumber. They have some of the cover, but the pop-up doesn't quite get the lock off. Rare gets picked up by the trade as Alamau tries to swing in. 20 seconds, though, and they still got to try and make their approach. Popped up over the chassis of the bomb. Miracle drives his way through, gets the diffuser cold. They have no real time to find it. No body. They'll at least get the pick up there. No, they won't. Highs pops with the pistol, drops to the story below. And Furia is able to find themselves their second.
Massive play for Miracle, as well as Highs did to get that double kill. I think Miracle being able to swing in and eliminate that diffuser was the massive kill. Honestly, even if I feel that if we seen the Aruni also get picked off, Miracle's still in a great position to really hold down the site. So, yeah, again, FURIA just very patient, not trying to give themselves away early. They have rectified those very easy mistakes that they made in Oregon, and it's paying off for them. 2-0, they're up.
I think that this is a really good sort of turning point for them. I think that being able to drive themselves here, thread 2 rounds in a row, which is obviously something, you know, they've equaled their performance on the first map. And they've been able to do what they weren't able to do on the first map, which is build a little base of solidity, a little place where they can sort of get behind it. They've been able to shut out a lot of the guns of Team 1, opening on the flawless, and then being able to sort of still have the 2 versus 1 in the final situation, which was about a 2 versus 2, but where the diffuser was positioned, where they had themselves set up, and again, the bravery of pushing themselves into engagements, it's rewarding them, and they're punishing Team 1 for it.
Okay, so Team 1 struggling quite a bit, and we're seeing the reading room, so basement going to be the bomb site that FURIA have no intention of really looking for right now. So reading typically plays out, I think, very similar to how we see like a top floor play out. You know, everyone from Team 1 will probably go upstairs, will try and move in from above, have a couple of gunfights here or there in the top floor, but then again, I looked at how FURIA defended in towards their mining and their dining defense, and they were very quick to kind of drop off of the roam game.
Well, I guess it's seeing if they can apply some of this pace and some of this decisiveness to the game itself, because at this point, they're obviously been able to get some parts of the Nomad with the control. She's going to be a consistency throughout this game. It's isolating those staircases and going for the hold here, but they're just, I guess, sort of struggling to put the pieces of the parcel and the puzzle of FURIA together to try and then get that, I guess, completed picture and see what they can do with it.
Oh, FURIA, Rare perhaps looking for a quick jump out here. Somebody, and oh, wins that engagement. How has he pulled that one off, Luke? KDS is quick enough to have the refrag, but still again, FURIA applying that early pressure, taking the man count away from Team 1 and keeping it as level as they can.
That's it. There it is. There's that instant response. There's that revenge that we sort of talked about before, and how important the trades are going to be towards this game, and the pace that can otherwise be applied. Obviously, you look at the cost here, the Nomad gone, the air jabs, I'm not entirely sure how many were put down, but usually they were quite late with them, so there's still that cost, there's still that blow. There's a little bit of a blow of utility there. The Habana pellets didn't quite find their way through the window of the train. It's a bit of a growth here, and it's a bit of a cost. They try and angle themselves and clear just a pocket of space, but without the control and the firefight on the stairs on the backside, Alamar's going to have to try and swing around pillars. Can't quite find the kill. Agonis has the cover, though. Finally, they have a bit of a body advantage.
Yeah, they do, and even now they're going to the extent of opening in towards those reading walls, which it's not a very common thing to see being opened up. I think in this scenario where they're trying to push in towards obviously that mining or that dining area, it's going to be definitely a great play for them. Landa, a lot of pressure on him as the smoke. He needs to try and deny the plan. He needs to just waste as much time as he can. Has one more toxic bait, but just gets caught out. A quick swing from 90. Miracle has to have a massive blank now, and then he comes. Will eliminate Neskin. Diffuser is going to be stuck. Kai's is trapped in white stairs, and Miracle all by himself as he rotates in towards Train, and Diffuser is going to be down, and now Team 1 just has to set up their crossfires, hold their angles. This should be a fairly easy round for them to lock down. Highs now creeps so over towards pillars. Gonna have to go for the jump. Alama will meet him. Alama, watch yourself. Almost gets taken out. Still in a good position. I say that as Highs actually goes to the swing now, 2 versus 2. Miracle has to make a move, but perhaps waiting for Highs to drop down the hatch, and that's exactly where Highs will go. He finds another one. KDS goes down, and all of a sudden, Lagonis has also lost it. Highs has went on an absolute rampage against Team 1.
My word, a triple kill there. I was gonna open that with the point, and I was gonna maybe sound smart if things hadn't gone their way, and said, well, they haven't opened any vertical holes. So this diffuser's sort of been able to slip through here. You have that punch. You might be able to cause some destruction. Sure, you expect some fire, but then he goes and just utilizes the singular hatch, that drop rotation anyway, isolates them in 3 1 versus 1s. I mean, prove me wrong. Sure, it's a dangerous game not having any angles down outside of that, but still.
Look, you've tried to think you were smart, but look what's happened to you. Is that like a running theme for you?
Oh, consistently. Story of my life. Look at that, some energy. There's the clutch.
It's a big round. Very, very big round, and it's almost deja vu, except it's Furia's time to, like, go 3-up. Which is great. You know, I'd rather, you know, it go this direction than, oh yeah, Team 1 have came in and just stomped them, and Furia just sat there and thought, oh well, there's always next year. This is Siege. This is what we live for.
This is it. These plays, these moments, these reels, these highlights. So, how do you respond, Team 1? You almost had a round. You almost had a clutch. You almost had a play and a moment there. You almost had something that started to piece things together. And from this, you've got to be able to sort of have a make-or-break moment, because losing... Okay. That was a peek out the top of the window. Losing a body this early isn't going to help things. Losing Yuriana with those grenades isn't going to help too, because he utilized her to get through a lot of the holes. Thankfully, Aruni's not on the board to try and burn through even more utility, but still. You can have these moments where your confidence can be made or broken by a round like that, and I guess hoping it's not broken.
Okay. Once again, I mean, losing that opening pick. Team 1 really struggling in that department, but like I said before, Fury, you have to commend them. They've came in with a much clearer mindset in terms of how they want to play their siege on Kafe, and it's working out for them. These mirror windows going to be very tricky, I feel, for Team 1 to eliminate. Sure, they have an operator like Cabana, but those mirror windows are going to be comboed with a mute jammer, then yeah, they will definitely struggle quite a bit with obviously a factor ban being brought in. So I feel as if Furia are playing, you know, very well to the current ban situation that we have, you know, realizing that, hey, Mira is open. Mira on Kafe usually is banned out, so yeah, play to your strengths.
Well, this is a little bit of a caution play now. Obviously, as I said, we saw the utility that got pulled out very early on. We've got to see if they can make things work and happen even without play. The swing comes round, pre-fired to make sure that they're not caught on the opposite side. They've cleared the back of the mirror window. They've taken control of the top, but there's still the whole of the floor they've got to try and battle their way into to see if they can actually get a handle on this and then diffuse it down. Still getting some solidity. Still burnt through a lot of utility. Still have over a minute left, but you also have all 5 players. Here comes the chance at some verticality. There is nobody found as of yet, and with 2 more C4s still in pocket, it's a dangerous game to play for the Sledge.
2 mines going off. Rare, of course, bringing that Legion, just trying to assist them. A lot of entryways, as we know, for this bomb site, so certainly having just a little bit of info. Lagonas has to be careful. Almost got blown up by a C4 that was expended by Furia. Furia very heavy on the C4 game. 4 C4s being brought to play, but I think it's expected for this bomb site where there is a lot of destructibility. The entire piano can be blown up. So, yeah, definitely a good strategy from them. Let's see if Team 1 can try and go for this execute. They do have reach in towards that quad wall of mining, but now at the moment just waiting to see where they want to go. KDS will be the first man to leap in, and oh no, that was a very bad decision. Rare is waiting for him, and another kill comes in. Furia just cleaning up house. Team 1 crumbling apart in Kafe. Furia running away, another flawless map free. Perhaps.
I mean, apparently so. It's a very different Furia to the team that we saw in the first map. It's a very different Team 1 to the team that we saw in the first map. It's, yeah, I guess, yeah, both these teams have entirely planted the flag and been like, yeah, this is our map. This is the map that we chose, and this is the map that we're going to win. Which sort of gets the excitement going for Coastline, because you're thinking, okay, well, who's going to be the one that actually has that final pace? It's a best of 3. It's a long sort of engagement. These first 2 maps, so far, they're going by quick. Obviously, we're 4 rounds in, but with 2 of those being flawlesses, Team 1, they're struggling to get a handle in, and there's only so much damage you can sort of take. A 4-2 split would still be workable for them and still be kind of standard, but anything less than that, they might find themselves in the same position where Furia were on the other side, where they're just a bit demoralized. They'll have so much energy coming into their attacks here, Furia.
The first time we're seeing Kitchen. Haven't seen them down here as of yet. Team 1, are they going to really attack this? I mean, Team 1 haven't really changed up any of their attacking operators. I think it's been pretty much clear cut right the way through, which, fair enough. I think running the same attacking lineup for, you know, a map where every single bomb site can be played, every single bomb site can be defended, it's obviously going to be a good idea, but I feel right now they're 4-0 down. It's clearly not working. I think they have to start looking at other options.
I think it's... I mean, other options is always a big conversation to have in the sort of mid-game play. It becomes the argument of, do we think that the problems that we're suffering now are ones that are driven by poor performance or poor selection? And that's sometimes very tough to get the definition and divide between inside a game especially.
Max kills they have is 2 on Team 1. Oh, rare. Very, very filthy. Alamau was looking to sledge the hatch, but gets shut down, and all of a sudden, Alamau has turned into a shell of the man we see in Oregon.
It's a worry. It's a bit of a surprise and a bit of a shock, but at the same time, you know, as we highlighted before, Alamau's a fantastic player, and that was one of those games of a season for a fantastic player. It's far from the last. People have ups and downs, and unfortunately for them, they haven't quite been able to find their way in. If they get onto the defense, we've seen players entirely light up on a side on a map before. It's not just that moment. We've got to, you know, you can't really forget that he was able to get 12 or 13 of his kills on the defense. He went about 13 kills before he died. Previously, he can't quite find the way on the attack, but I don't think any of Team 1 can. They're trying to do these holes. They're trying to find some damage here against FURIA, but they're not leaving themselves a huge amount of time. They're getting a little bit of pressure. Their best position was in the post-plant situation, but they sort of handed FURIA 3-1 versus 1s. And, you know, in a 3 versus 2 post-plant, you should be able to keep a little bit more, and it's just this disconnect that suffered them on their attacks.
Yeah, almost as if Team 1 they've kind of taken the curse that what FURIA were really struggling with whenever they were in Oregon. So, yeah, it's a complete flip. I mean, Rare has just been running around the place, just causing issues after issues. You know, he's upstairs in white, now he is looking to swing up red. Where's he gonna go now? Maybe up gold? I have no idea. FURIA have full map control. They can run around whatever they want to do. They're in no position to worry whatsoever. All the pressure is on Team 1. They have 35 seconds. They still have not found their first kill in this round. They're at a 45 disadvantage. They have nothing open. They finally got a mirror window popped. But at what cost? 2 minutes 30 are already gone.
2 minutes 30. They obviously lost that opening body. They're trying to find their way in here, but
Mute jammer. Oh.
It's the mute jammer. The C4 is shot out just by Lagonis. They're aware that there's a body behind there, but it's going to buy more time. Lender swings around the side. They have to drive their way up through prep here. The spray comes over the corner and around the side. Neskin kills Lagonis. In and amongst the chaos that came through, FURIA get themselves their 5th round in a row.
Just too slow from Team 1. If Team 1 don't have that opening pick, they stumble and they trip over each other to no extent. They've literally just TK'd each other. That is just proving the point. FURIA just outclassing them in every develop. I mean, I don't even think FURIA has been pushed that hard by Team 1 in these rounds. Like we said, FURIA have just kind of sat in sight and waited for them.
Yeah, they haven't needed to extend. They haven't needed to stress themselves.
I think that round, the 2v3 clutch that came in from FURIA, was a game changer for them.
Is that it?
Since that round, they have looked so good.
Yeah, it's a confidence maker or a breaker. It
sucked the life out of Team 1.
Yeah, in a situation that you're not expected to win, in a game that's already sort of going one way, it will make or break you. It will define your half, and it might not define the whole game, but it often defines your half. In that, if you can't find the energy to bite back from what was a certainty in some people's books, it eats at you. It eats at you more than a loss does. But in the case of being able to pull back that, if you have a little spark and suddenly you find a firelighter, you become a blaze. You become this sort of roaring energy. And that's what we've seen here from FURIA. They've been able to entirely light up since then. And a 6-0 half doesn't look unlikely.
Right. final round off the half. Team 1, they need something. If they go 6-0 down, big ass to see a 6-0 comeback or reverse sweep. They do not happen all too often, Fluka, as we know, inside a competitive siege. Not like the olden days where really anything was possible. Now we're at a stage where just the level of gameplay that we have across every region, teams don't let, things slip. It's very rare we see chokes these days. Long were the days of Canadian chokes. They're ancient history at this stage.
Yeah, they're documented in the annals of siege history, sure, but it's dusty. It's a little bit dusty now.
Hasn't been one added in quite a while.
Well, now you've said it.
It's not gonna happen. Let's be real. Come on. Unless...
Okay.
No, let's not go there.
Hey, there's that corner I talked about, being a sort of defining factor of the old meta. If that was the old meta, there would have been another 6 projectiles thrown that way before that shield could have been destroyed. But it's not. We are in the modern game, and Miracle is the man that's trying to cause some modern miracles. KDS suffers more out of the engagement, but is able to survive. That is a pretty big moment for them. The concern, though, is the awareness that there's a body underneath. Playing inside train with a C4. That means anyone that sort of starts to try and get the approach in here is going to be in a dangerous bit. They have to pay attention to that body, as they are. Lagonis is trying to force them further and further away so they can get a clean entrance.
Yeah, Team 1 looking to go in for that train museum and in towards the dining for their plant position. They were here the last time and they actually decided to rotate away and move for much more of a read and take. This was the round where they lost that 2 versus 3. They start off good, Nick. Managed to get that first kill onto a very important player. Miracle has been a standout player so far. The aggressive nature that he's been able to get has been very, very strong. So, yeah, getting him gone early is going to be a good thing for Team 1. Let's see if they can capitalize on it. 50 seconds to go, plenty of time as they begin their breaching in towards that dining room.
Now, steadily, they've been able to clear some of that pocket of space that they wanted. As I said, they forced away the C4 so they could try and get more of the vertical control across the top and force the bodies down the side of the staircase on the back line here. They have 30 seconds. I think they have the library wall open here too, and they're putting their attention and focus onto the door. That grenade is the pickup by the SMG. Alamau drives himself all the way through, tries to find one more, but is buying space. Most importantly, for this defuse to go down. Levy gets one on the backside. It's Neskin for a spray around the corner and highs. Well, pulled off big clutches before. This one would have to be the ace, and you have less 10-second periods and pockets to do it. Then you have players to get through. They're well aware of where you are. 30 seconds. You've set yourself up with a 5-1 half here. That's still very good. They have one lifeline. Can Team 1 stick some sort of exceptional landing here?
5-1. Team 1 need to have a very big half. 6-0 would have been, dare I say, impossible. From a Kafe, I think you're 6-0 up in Kafe. All momentum is sucked out of the opposing team. It's a lot of pressure. 5-1s, though, I've seen them being done in the past, especially a map like Kafe.
I mean, it does offer itself well to defenders, sure. I think the biggest takeaway here is the sheer momentum and energy that on the rounds that were Furia's rounds, they were Furia's rounds. It was the same thing that I sort of said about Team 1 on the first map, was those rounds that they took on their first half, that 5-1, those were Team 1 rounds. There wasn't a contention, there wasn't a drive to the end. So what Team 1 have to sort of do now is really redefine a play. They have to really... The difference that we saw between Furia from map 1 and map 2, they have to now have for them between half 1 and half 2.
Okay. 5-1. Big ask. See if they can do it. Starting off on their kitchen. The Alamau onto the Vigil. Very aggressive roaming operator that we see to some degree on Kafe. Of course, going to be great for denying any information. Any drones that come his way, he can just simply be invisible to them. And play as aggressive as he wants, and that's exactly where he's going to start. An aggressive nature in towards that top floor is where he heads.
Now as they sort of try and formulate a bit of a hold and a bit of a control there, Neskin's making sure that they have the space to move and manipulate up top. their play before was one where we said FURIA couldn't quite find the punishment on the outside game. They weren't able to isolate the players, but it seems like here, Team One have gone for a little bit of a wider hold. They're exploring Kafe a little bit more than they did on Oregon. It allows you to, as a defender, you sort of build yourself up with these story defenses, and they're no different here. Can FURIA do what they couldn't quite do before, though, and connect some of these dots to punish them earlier, rather than later on in the dying throes of the execute? It starts on red, as it often and always does. Where does it go next?
FURIA happy enough to take their time and find Alamau, using the drones to best they can. I have an idea where he is, of course. You can see the white flares flash up on their screen. Don't know the exact location, which is the scary thing. If you're trying to hunt a vigil, you may know where he is, but you don't know exactly where he is. Oh, FURIA managed to scare him away from the top floor, and they will now maneuver their way down towards the second floor, and that too has also been gifted to them. All of Team 1 on the bottom floor now. This is where they can get in, utilize the destructibility that Lenda can have. Of course, that sledgehammer, very famous for redecorating that kitchen ceiling. Trying to push everyone out of the bomb sites. The one thing about this bomb site is, I feel as if a lot of teams now, they have to kind of defend the bomb site without being in it, just because destructibility is so strong at the moment.
Oh, yeah. You have to have a bit of a long arm. You have to have a little bit of a stretch. It's a cool sort of movement, I think, for the meta to be in, where you have to have a little bit of movement, a bit of growth. You cannot just really solidify yourself and hope that the lockdown is enough to cover you. Here, they still have that. Towards the bottom of the brown stairs, they've made sure that they have that body there in a position to get into a firefight if they need to. They otherwise have some eyes towards Small Bake as well, and I guess it's weighing things up and finding the first as Fantasy drives their way in to the bakery. They're looking down the long red corridor now to see if they can find the second, and they just about do. Dropped on the far end. KDS caught in the middle of a rotate. Everything is starting to pop open now.
Yeah, Fantasy just driving in. He's been great so far today of just getting in a great position to really open up the enemy side, and Eyes will pick off Alamau as he is looking for a quick rotate. 10 seconds to go. I mean, these smokes are causing them issues. They have to try and stick this defuse, but Lagones knows that they have to try and go for the diffuser. He's getting up close and personal with a shotgun. He misses the blast, and that will cost him his life. FURIA right in with the kills. The diffuser being planted. Neskin all by himself will manage to down Lenda. C4 getting tossed out. Is enough to kill Rare? No, it's not. A 1 versus 1. Rare trying to battle back. He's moved in towards prep now. Neskin reloads the SMG, a flashbang to keep him at bay. And now you can see Rare relocate into a better position for himself. Finish off the down player who's giving out information. Diffuser in a very bad spot for Neskin. Takes more damage and will lose his life. FURIA push themselves to match point. A great 1v1 being shown by Rare.
I mean, that was a drive suddenly. That was, in a way, some of the stuff that we wanted to see from FURIA before was that set up and execute. They knew what they wanted to get a hold of. They drove themselves in with a lot of pace, and when things didn't quite connect the way they wanted them to, they still kept pushing. They kept driving. They knew what they had to achieve. They didn't dawdle, dilly-dally, dabble. They destroyed the defenses, and they made sure that everything sort of fell into place, whether they had to force the pieces or not. And now suddenly they find themselves in a situation 6-1 back from the 7-2 they suffered on the previous map. They need one more connection to push themselves through onto Coastline, not only with the sheer amount of energy that they could potentially bring to a map that is built on energy, but the performance and what they've been able to pick themselves back up from is such a bout of fire for them.
6-1. Good position for Team 1. Change the bomb site. Upstairs they go. We're seeing Maestro be brought in. This is probably Maestro's best site in the game, bar none. Don't think there's another site where he has this much of an impact. The fact that the Maestro cameras can be placed in very, very strong positions, primarily where we're seeing the bomb chassis. You can jump up on the table inside of Longbar and simply put them on like one of the pillars. Very, very strong. A lot of coverage. Difficult for an attacker to actually remove them. And of course, as we know, the Aldo in that scenario where I feel as if this bomb site can get very bottlenecked, you hold on M1 and the Aldo's just going to kill everything.
I mean, yeah, There's a famous sound that gun makes.
Yep.
Or
It's much more longer than that, I feel, though, because that's
it's a little bit longer
how,
than that.
What, are we just having burst fire, my stream?
Yes, I've accidentally pressed a button that not many people press in this game, and when I press it, it's the accident of changing fire mode on a gun.
And then you go to single fire.
And then I go to single fire, and I've accidentally put the auto on
Then, then you're playing for one taps only, therefore you're playing for hackers, therefore you're trolling your games.
Yeah, and that's it. If anyone ever changes the fire rate on their gun and goes to one tap, you're just trolling.
Yep, playing for hackers.
6-1, FURIA. This is yours to lock up and lock out, and Team 1 have to have an entirely exceptional run here. They had one lifeline, and they've lost it on their opening defense. Their first hold didn't quite hold steady. It came down to a 1 versus 1, or a 1 versus 2 even, and the post-plant situation, the clutch and the intel that they had meant that it was a very tough retaken situation. And here, I guess they're seeing if they can hold off and hold firm. The burn of those underneath was pretty well played there. It puts KDS in a tricky situation. The shield drops too, knows he can't quite hold that, has a bit of a dabble and a dance behind the reinforcements, otherwise put up in the bathroom, but with those ADSs popping back into life, just pulls back, lets them have a little bit of ground and territory.
Ability being utilized by FURIA to eliminate some key position. You see the Maestro cameras, like I said, very strong, has a lot of information, but equally very difficult for the attackers, as we see, trying to eliminate them, utilizing Gone 6s, and Miracle, he knows there's a man there, but just not finding the angle. Lagones, do not move, because if he moves in the wrong position, he will be picked off. And talking about picks, Alamau is the first one to fall once again. Alamau went from 19-2 to 2-7 this map. That could have been potentially his final round, as a 45 and FURIA are geared up, ready for this execute.
Yeah, now though, if we're going to talk about people that have been able to drive themselves successfully, Rare on a 10-3 is having the birthday they probably wanted to open up the day with. Here, the pressure's coming across Cigar from the opposite side. It's from underneath that Miracle gets the take there. There's not many places Team 1 are comfortable to sit in. The spray and the drop shot from Fantasy gets one more. It's a 4 versus nobody, and FURIA lock in map 2.
FURIA, complete change from the last map that we seen them in Oregon. FURIA, very, very dominant. Dare I say, looked a lot better than what Team 1 did in Oregon.
I don't think that there's a question about that. I think that what they did there was fantastically tied together as a team. The Oregon performance that we saw from Team 1 was good, but it was built behind a player that went 19-2 or 3 or whatever ludicrous number it was by the end. That was a FURIA team game. That was all of them contributing, all of them putting their